You're not gonna have all the same friends when you're 60 that you have when you're 16, right? And at the end of the day, no matter what, you're gonna end up alone at some point. Even if you get married, whether it's that you died first or they died first or whatever happened, you're gonna end up alone. So the point is to get as far as you can in life before that point with somebody who really loves you. And that's gonna be your significant other. It's just the story of, you know, how I got here. I remember the first thing that drew me to this beat, it started off with Nate Fox and I think Peter Cottontail. There was this video, it was like a meme for a while, they call him like the Cholo pastor, and he was like, "We love you, God, Jesus Christ." You remember that video? They had chopped that joint up and they're gonna, "We love you, God, love you, God, we love you, God, Jesus Christ." I'm like, yo, I love this, yo. We've been learning lately at my church about just like fervor and speaking like without shame and being like, this is what I believe in. Like he embodied that even from the first time I saw it. I always thought it was funny, but I always thought it was courageous. And so when I heard that, I'm like, yo, that's exactly the energy I need to have on these joints. I need to be me. My baby mama went celibate. Lies on my breath, she said she couldn't take the smell of it. Tired of the rumors, every room had an elephant. Trying to find her shoes, rummaging through the skeletons. She took away sex, took me out of my element. When we were initially together, right after the baby came, I wasn't, you know, living right. Like you get to a certain degree of success and you start to believe that all these different things are owed to you. So I wasn't faithful, I wasn't kind, I wasn't understanding, I wasn't helpful. In a lot of ways, I just wasn't all the way there. Trying to find her shoes, rummaging through the skeletons, it's like, there's so many skeletons in my closet that it's like she can't do a regular everyday thing without coming across something that I did wrong, something that I'm trying to hide. I tried to do the single dad mingle dance at the club with the iron in my wrinkle pants. You could fall much faster than you think you can. So me and my wife split, and I, you know, started doing my thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't have like a pressing album to come out or anything. I just won all the Grammys. I'm thinking it's cool. And so I just started going out every night. The single dad mingle dance is probably one of the most uncomfortable, awkward dances possible. You're supposed to be representing all these things, all these virtues and stuff, but I'm out being scandalous. That's probably the best word, slutty damn near, you know what I'm saying? I was in a position where I had built up all this like, this feeling around me of like fixing everything and being perfect, and I was living in probably the most imperfect space that I had ever occupied. Big hands for my ring, I'ma need a Pringles can. I got a big ass hand, if you could tell. I don't know if you could see like based on, but I got a big ass hand. My hands have been the same size since I was like 7 years old. They used to drag behind me. So like when I smack niggas, Joe, it's like, bow! I think it was to really illustrate like when men think about getting married, they think about really getting locked down. I think even more so than women do. They think about like the end of something rather than the beginning of something. And I think at that time I was just like, I need like 5 or 6 years to like figure things out and then we'll get married. Like that's how I would talk about it to her. I think I just had this mindset that it was like, because my life is big, because I feel like I'm larger than life, like it's gonna take a lot to lock me down. It's not a Pringles can, but there's a lot of VVs in there. They're doing a big dance right now. It's a little joint on there. I just want to shine back like an Eagles fan. My ego like, oh damn there, he go praying. Again, the same old thing. I mean, I ain't gonna promise that the pain go away and you could take your sweet time, but she ain't gonna wait, cause a new coat of paint don't make the stain go away, but he go high. When my girl left me, I didn't really have a choice in anything. It wasn't like I could convince her or anything different. And I was also trying to convince myself that that was the route that I was supposed to be taking. A new coat of paint don't make the stain go away is kind of like a point when I was convincing myself like, you could do all that, like, you know, getting saved and, you know, like practicing celibacy on your own, separate from your girl. She's gonna do her thing. She left you, it's over. You know what I'm saying? And all the stuff that you're trying to do to purify yourself is for naught, so quit it. All that was to say like, shut up, self. Like, like, he go high and we go high. They go low, we go high. It's so funny, like so many articles that wrote about the song, because this video wasn't made, they don't understand all the references and the lyrics, but the thing that stands out to everybody is when they go low, we go high. But when I wrote the song, I wasn't thinking about the First Lady, Michelle Obama. Shout out to them though, they did it, you guys did a great job. The we go high was just how I came out of the verse. I was like, paint don't make this, because I'd be punch cutting. So a lot of times like I just like keep saying a line until I get the right one, and then I try the next line. And most of the time it's gibberish. But my last one is, but a new coat of paint don't make the stain go away, but he go high. And it was just like, okay, next line, we go high. Next line, they go low, but we go high. My wife nanny like Fran Drescher. 3 damn Grammys, my granny like no pressure. My wife, and I'm sure a lot of people's wives, she wasn't my wife at the time, but a lot of people's women, if you have kids, they hold down the fort for you. The Grammys were great, and that was great for myself, for music, for independence, for all these things. But like, what does it mean for like my household if my wife's not there? My grandma always put pressure on me, but I wasn't having these hard conversations with my grandmother about how I was acting towards my wife or why we were breaking up. So obviously she's getting that, you got it, baby, go ahead, blah, 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 blah. But like, I knew because of how real our relationship was growing up, that I wasn't doing exactly what she wanted me to do. So much style, my stylist got no dresser. Fuck going straight to the pros, I'm professor. Fuck being one of the goats, I'm Go Tanks. Try to try it out with my girl, she no thanks. DBZ reference real quick, you know what I'm saying, for my manga fans. So Go Tanks is Goten and Trunks when they would do the dance and they would become one. It's just another me trying to say how dope I am. Everybody also wants to be the GOAT. Like that's like the thing is like, it's like, oh, he's a GOAT. He's one of the GOATs, the GOATs. I know my wife since I was 9, yo. My wife is not impressed by a lot of the things that other people can be impressed by. It's not easy, you know? I have all these things, all these accolades, and it was like, that's not what was keeping her there. My faithfulness, my attention, my dedication are the things that she was looking for. And with those absent, fuck is she staying around for? Dropped the bomb, I couldn't find a Tom Hanks. Got me pressed trying to find Devon Frank. So Devon Franklin is an author and public speaker and just cool dude. I never met him before. But there was a time when I hated Devon Franklin's guts. I hated that nigga, for real, for real. Because Devon Franklin married Megan Good. And when him and Megan Good got married, they became a partner group that would go out and do these motivational speeches, and they eventually wrote a book together. This book was called The Weight. And I remember the day that The Weight found itself into my home. The Weight is a book that's written about how celibacy and taking sex out of your relationship, or premarital sex out of your relationship, can overall strengthen it and create an eternal thing. I was so fucking mad when I saw The Weight at my house, dude. When I saw my girl reading this book and I'm looking at this nigga's smile on the front and he's with Megan Good, and I'm like, yo, who is this nigga trying to ruin my shit? Even post already having a kid, post living together, after being in it for so long, celibacy saved my life and gave me a marriage. So now it's shout out Devon Frank. But at the time, it was like, where is Devon Franklin at, yo? I gotta come see this nigga. Who the fuck rocked the boat is gonna sink? Shooting at me point blank with those blanks. I want a lot of kids, like that's my journey, my goal in life is like, have a big village of children that I can impact and tell them what I've learned from my dad and like just keep it going, keep the legacy going. Shooting at me point blank with those blanks on one level is just like me still being mad at Devon Franklin, but it's also me kind of expressing that like I couldn't have a kid when she was celibate or even before that because I don't think we was ready for it. We wasn't living right. I wasn't living right, sorry. They don't take teenage angst at no banks. Try some new hues like Langston gon' paint. You gotta come harder than that. Try some new hues like Langston trying to paint? I can't even break it down for you. If you don't know about the Harlem Renaissance, do your research. What happens to a dream deferred? Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun or fester like a soil then run? Does it stink like rotten meat or crushed over in sugar like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load. Or does it explode? I used to do that all the time. I used to love that poem. And it's two different things. It's too bad. And it's so sad. My mom used to always say, when I would ask for too much, she'd say, too bad, so sad. That's a common saying. I feel like we've all heard too bad, so sad before. It is too bad and it's so sad. Man, it's too bad because shit, I need my family together. And it's so sad because it doesn't seem like it's gonna work out the way that it was supposed to. We give a glory to you, God, one living true God. You make us booyah and throw up the woo like you, God. I'm being specific. I'm trying to let you know who I'm talking to. And you make us booyah and throw up the woo like you, God. That's just great writing, yo. It comes in phases. Like you start coming to church and you finally decide one day, I'm gonna clap. I'm not gonna clap louder than everybody else, but I just felt that. Then the next thing you get is you start to get that one hand up. And then you get a little more confidence. The next time you come, you got two hands up. And then you're standing up and you start to realize as you're rapping that looks like Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang. They prop up statues and stones trying to make a new God. I don't need an EGOT as long as I got you, God. Deep breather woo-saw. Pretty sure I need you in this season like a flu shot. I just sit and wait like I'm with Kirsten when she shoe shop. I remember the first time I took Kirsten shopping, she was like, okay, cool. Why are you following me around? I was like, I don't know. I thought we were going on a shopping spree. She was like, yo, if you don't sit your ass down, like it's a whole thing where women just, you know, they do want your company, but they don't necessarily need you to be overseeing everything and like making, what's the price tag on them shoes? You should try these Balenciagas. I think that's how God works. He doesn't want us to micromanage everything. He also doesn't want us to be in a position where we feel like we have to strategize every single piece of everything, because you can't take things out of God's hands. They're gonna work how they work. Know you always with me like how Diddy be with Blue Dot. Got us moving around without the straps like a tube top. Got me big comfy like Molly's couch, floating around the city like Malcolm X dollied out. My favorite line, the Malcolm X dollied out, that's probably one of my favorite lines I ever made. That's a signature Spike Lee shot. He puts you on a dolly and he puts the camera on the dolly. And the dolly, just for people that don't work in film, the dolly is like, it's like a little thing that you stand on or you could place a camera on, and it makes it so that when the camera moves, it moves so smooth that it looks like it's gliding. Spike Lee in literally every movie that he's ever had, and he has at least 3 I could think of off the top with Denzel Washington in them, where he does this intense shot where it looks like it's supposed to symbolize Denzel Washington moving as fast as he can down the street. And because of the way that the trees and everything are floating and how his body isn't really moving how a walking does, it looks like you're floating. Just that feeling of being so secure in the city that I don't feel like I need to be moving a certain way. Just being in a position where like I could trust in something or trust in my destiny is that main feeling. They highly doubt. I guarantee it. This the part of my life, my lifetime movie probably bout. When they come to jump aboard, I won't ollie out. I too was once a snotty nose with a potty mouth. One day you get one oak, then poppied out, and popping out don't seem as popular as just passing out. Shout out to One Oak in LA. Shout out to Poppy in LA too. 2 great clubs. You get into a repetitive lifestyle of like doing the same thing. And so it becomes going to the club. It becomes kicking it with the same people. It becomes going to an after party and all those things. You start to realize the gift and being able to go home and just fall asleep to a movie with your wife. Like, that shit is A1. Time get rationed out, you get rationale. Friends become patches inside the fashion house. They start to clash and you let them hash it out, but stay passive so if they crash, you got a fasten belt. Lord bless my lineage. Let me be the skinniest. Let me get some time with them. Let them know who Kenny is. Children born in one's youth are like arrows in the hands of a warrior, while I got an extendo with a long nose like Phineas. Kids proud like Penny is. I don't be making all my own lines. Just for reference, my co-writer is the Bible. We spend a lot of time in the church where we sometimes shame people for bearing children unmarried, and especially for people bearing children that are super young or considered too young. They forget sometimes that happened to a lot of people. You know what I mean? Biblically. The Bible says the more kids that you have at the younger age that you are, the more ammunition you have. The more that I have, the more I can impact the world for God's use. I felt like it was important to say that and then also say, you know, I got a long nose with an extendo on that joint. Like, I'm trying to have 50 billion kids. BB and CC, I need like 20 twins. Got her in my family like Indian. Feel it in your gut like when you uppercut Balchinians. Speaking of guts, Huz poking out like Winnie in the red shirt. I don't have to teach you or lecture about how sex works. I found out diamonds make pressure. When I was a kid, they always used to say, pressure makes diamonds. So when you're going through it and you're having a hard time, they say, you're going through this because it's gonna make you better. In my situation, diamonds put that pressure and now we got a baby on the way. I used to dive head first, just know I had to let go of the flesh first. It's true, God. This union was for you, God. We standing at the stoop. We want to make it to the rooftop. You told us bring some people through. We tried to bring a few, God. We tried to form a new bod. Just tell us what to do, God. The number one thing that I kept hearing from when I first decided that I was going to propose to Kirsten till to this day is God blesses marriages. At the big day, at the wedding reception, a lot of people came to me and said, I know this sounds weird, but that sermon that the pastor gave and that little music selection that you did and seeing you guys together made me feel like God is real. I guarantee it is a line that Denzel Washington uses in every movie. I'll get you your money by dollar, I guarantee it. That's what he says. He says in every movie, whatever he's talking about. We're gonna get these boys to the state championship, I guarantee it. He's like, whatever movie it is, I guarantee it, he says it. I guarantee you he says that shit.